Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for this episode of Easton Library Community Book Chat. So it's a beautiful sunny day and we are here, and I'm so glad we are being joined by our guest today. And our guest is Maggie Supple, and Maggie is the director of the amazing Christ Church Nursery School. Maggie, thank you for talking with me today.
Thank you for having me on.
Okay, I have a little bit of a soft spot in my heart for Christ Church Nursery School because my daughter, my youngest, did go there for 2 years and just felt like so at home there and just loved it. And it was such a nurturing, wonderful, safe space for her. And I come and read to your kids once a month, which is so fun.
It's wonderful to have you. And I fell in love with Christ Church Nursery School because of the welcoming atmosphere and the beautiful campus. And it is a very nurturing place.
It really is. And you're right. The welcoming atmosphere, that's what sold us on it when we first came to visit. But can you tell us a little bit of like a few other things that make it special?
So I started here about 6 years ago as a teacher. I was teaching in Greenwich and had moved to Trumbull, and the commute was too much. And I happened to see this tiny little sign that said there was a nursery school. And I called, and they happened to be looking for a teacher. And when I came to visit, the campus is just so beautiful. The classrooms have a lot of natural sunlight. It's very child focused. And I think that's, in Fairfield County, everything is so competitive. There's this rush to get kids advanced with the academic skills. And as an early childhood educator, I think that there is a lot of value in that social emotional stuff and allowing them to learn through experience and play and making sure they have a love for learning and a love for our environment. And I think that that sort of sets us apart maybe from some of the other programs around.
It is. And you guys spend a lot of time outside too. Is that right?
Yeah, we always did. The pandemic really pushed us to explore that option more of becoming sort of a nature school or a forest school.
Mm-hmm.
We're aiming for a hybrid where we are outside as much as we possibly can be, while still doing some things inside that we need to do to prepare the children for kindergarten in a very age appropriate, hands-on way.
Mm-hmm.
Some of that does in the cold weather require us to be inside because you can't do a lot of fine motor with mittens on. So
No, you can't. That is a very good point. No, but I mean, yeah, they are so happy there, and just to see their little faces when they're there, it's really fantastic.
it's
You
a
guys
very
do a great job
rewarding
there.
job. It's a rewarding job working with young children.
It is, it is. So the book we're going to talk about today, which you chose to talk about, is such a beautiful book. And I'm so glad that you chose a picture book, because a lot of times we don't talk about picture books, and so I don't get to show all the beautiful illustrations, but it's called Wild Child, and it is by Lynn Plourde. And it's kind of a story about Mother Earth putting her child to bed. Is that right?
Kind of. It's sort of about the change of seasons.
Mhm.
It's part of a series. There's 4 books in the series, and it's definitely about the change of seasons and the words. She does such a good job of painting like a verbal picture of the seasons, especially in this area, the season of fall, especially in this area. She uses a lot of alliteration and rhyming
Mhm.
to really get across the colors and the sounds that we hear in the fall. So it's a great book to read with young children and to help them understand and use their imagination about what they're seeing around them. Um, I love the illustrations. They're so vibrant and colorful and emotive. They bring a lot of emotion to the story that she's telling.
Yeah, it really is quite beautiful. And you're right. I mean, there's like the picture I showed before, the child is almost like made out of leaves, but here's a great one there. There's
Plumpy, pulpy pumpkins as a snack.
pumpkins. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Plumpy, lumpy, pulpy pumpkins. Yeah, great words for
So all
kids.
that is really captivating for the kids, the rhyming and the alliteration and sort of the melodic tone of the story.
It's great. She uses words like chutter, chatter, chipmunks patter, all different, really fantastic. Let me see if I can get another great picture here for it. But I mean, yeah, it's really beautiful and unique. And like you said, it's engaging for little ones, and it makes for a beautiful read aloud.
Absolutely. And even for, the like beginner readers, because of all the rhyming and alliteration, it can be a fairly easy book for some early readers to start helping you read and
Mhm.
even memorizing, which is part of the process of learning how to read when they're very young. I found that they really get into that book with all the rhyming.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really quite stunning. Um, so like for yourself, what do you like to read?
Well, currently I'm taking classes, so most of my reading is in textbooks. But honestly, when I'm at home, if I'm reading, I call it my mind candy. Like murder mysteries are kind of my thing.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit of historical fiction. But while I'm taking classes, it's mostly textbooks, which is very engaging too, because it's all right now. My classes are all about special education and children with learning differences. So I find that very interesting right now.
Mm-hmm.
My mind candy is definitely murder mystery kind of things.
Yeah. And what do you like to read to the kids?
Uh, I think reading to the kids, pretty much anything you read, if you put emotion into it, is great. But I love Todd Parr books.
Oh,
Um,
yes.
Obviously, the whole series of the Lynn Plord books about the seasons. Barbara Cooney, there's a few of her books that I really like. Miss Rumphius is one of them. Roxaboxen is another one.
Oh,
Maybe
classic. Yep.
kids. Um, Actually, Carly Simon's Midnight Farm is one of my favorites as well. It similar illustrations, very like whimsical, a lot of imagination, plants coming to life. Who else? Um, Actually, a totally different type of story, but Jan Clausen has "This Is Not My Hat." Hey, you stole my hat.
Are those so
Love those.
funny?
Those are great books. Mo
Yeah.
Willems. I'm actually a big fan of Dr. Seuss and with all the rhyming because it's so great for the kids with the beginning literacy skills.
Yeah.
And I think we can learn from some of the not so great illustrations that are happening in there. Um, but I do love reading Dr. Seuss with the kids. Of course, the Lorax fits with our program a lot with trying to build stewardship for the environment. So
Yeah. Wow, those are really good recommendations. Those are fantastic books.
I've been teaching nursery school for a long time. So long before I had my own son, I had quite a collection of children's books.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I know you guys have a lovely collection over there too. Like some really great, a great little library just for you guys.
This year, we actually set up an actual library space for the kids
Oh,
um,
let's see.
because sometimes they need a quiet space to just sort of relax and sit down. So I'm not sure if I'm showing it well.
Oh, yeah, that's lovely.
Created a little quiet space for when
I
they
love
meet.
that.
And it makes it easier for us to find the books that we want to use for our classes.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Oh, I love that, Maggie. It's beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, Maggie, I so appreciate everything you do over there at Christ
Good
Church
job.
Nursery School and taking care of our little ones, and just like helping them to flourish and flower and
Such an important time of life, and they need this opportunity to be kids because
Mhm.
the magic of childhood ends fast enough. I really enjoy being in this environment where we can really let them be children and play and get dirty and develop a love of learning that only happens from experiencing
Yeah.
everything around them. So I love Easton. I'm glad I landed here. It's a big difference from where I was previously, so it's a
Hmm.
nice change. Nice
Yeah. Well, like I said, I had a kid who went there, and when her her time in the fours was done, cried.
Oh,
Cried and cried about how she would miss it there. So, I mean, obviously I don't want her to cry, but that's a pretty great endorsement of any place that
absolutely.
a child says, "Oh my gosh, I'm not going to be here anymore," and they're saddened by that.
That is the best thing. In the beginning of the school year, you always have some tears in preschool. And it's so wonderful by the, second or third week when then they're mad that mom's there and it's time to go home.
Right,
And
right.
you're like, okay, we've achieved that.
Yeah. Well, Maggie, thank you again. I mean, wonderful work you're doing, and we're lucky to have you. And thank you so much for coming and talking with me on Book Chat. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me, and thank you for coming to read with the kids.
Oh, I love coming to read with the kids.
Reading is such a big part of learning, so it's a
Well,
great
it
start.
really is. Absolutely. All
Thank
right.
you.
Well, thank you everybody for coming and joining Maggie and I and talking about, wonderful little children and all the great things that are happening with them. And hopefully we will see you again in another episode of Easton Library Community Book Chat.
I'd love
Thanks a
to.
lot.
Take care.